Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Deepika. I'm a consultant gynecologist at Doc Online. Doc Online is a leading telemedicine and digital primary healthcare provider promoted by Doc Online AB Sweden, and we cater for more than 10 lakh subscribers and more than 200 corporate clients, providing online consultation, diagnostic services, medicine delivery, and many other conveniences. We are the first company to implement a fully integrated digital primary healthcare center, that is EPHC, for the UP government, delivering a real-time digital customer journey in a tough operating environment. We are also a healthcare partner for several NGOs, enabling them to offer quality healthcare in remote areas of India. Doc Online also provides an omni-channel experience across our app, website, and telephone. Employees who may not use a smartphone or computers can also use our services through the phone. Our in-house doctors are currently able to support in English, Hindi, Bangla, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, and Marathi. So I am Dr. Deepika Manocha. I am MBBS, TGO, DNB, Obs in Gynae, Diploma in Urogynae, and I'm a life member of Indian Society of Colposcopy and Cervical Pathology. So today we'll be discussing about cervical cancer awareness. Yeah. So American Cancer Society has designated the month of January as Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. And why do we need to be aware about this cancer? Because cervical cancer is the most common cancer in women in India. And India accounts for more than 25% of total cervical cancer cases occurring in the world. And it is more alarming in the rural region. So here you can see the amount of deaths happening annually is 67,477 only from India. And it is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in women aged 15 to 44 years. So this data has been given by Indian Council of Medical Research, a survey which was done by them. And then as we can see, one woman dies every 8 minutes according to this survey. So we need to be aware of this cancer. So I have already mentioned that India accounts for 25% of the world's cancer cases, but it also accounts for approximately 25% of world's cancer deaths due to cervical cancer. In this slide, you can see on the right that the most common cancer in India in the rural area is cervical cancer. It is highlighted in deep yellow. And in the urban area, it is breast cancer. So this is a very interesting concept. This is a very interesting aspect of India. Papampur district of India has the highest incidence rate of cervical cancer in Asia. All right. So we are talking about cervical cancer. So we need to know what is cervix. Cervix is that part of the uterus of a female body which lies in the vaginal canal. So this, you see, this is the uterus. This is a female body. Uterus lies in the lower abdomen, and this part is the cervix. It lies in the vaginal area. So this is the part where the human papilloma virus, the causative agent of cervical cancer, infects the females. So cervical cancer is caused by human papilloma virus, and this one is this image you see is a electron microscope image of human papilloma virus 16. That is a cancer causing strain of human papilloma virus. This gentleman, Professor Harald zur Hausen, he postulated that HPV is the cause of cancer, and he got a Nobel Prize in the year 2008 for that. He had already discovered HPV 16 and 18, the cancer causing strains of human papilloma virus, way back in 1983. And he also co-discovered HIV. So about human papilloma virus, we've got more than 200 strains discovered for HPV, but not all are cancer causing strains. So it causes variety of cancers. Majority, the most important cancer is cervical cancer, which is caused solely by HPV. Rest others are vaginal, vulval, genital warts, anal cancer, oropharyngeal, and penile cancer. So HPV infection rate is 80% of all the sexually active women. So HPV will infect 80% of the people in their lifetime. 80 to 90% of the HPV will resolve in 2 years. In young people, in young females, it will resolve in 2 years because the immunity is good in young people. And 10 to 20% of the HPV infection will persist and change into cervical cancer, but even doctors don't know which will turn into HPV. Sorry, into cervical carcinoma. See, this is the actual course of cervical cancer. First, initially the HPV will infect the cervix, cervical cells. But this stage, you see, the normal and the SIN1 stage, this is the stage which is not, does not have any symptoms. The patient will not have any symptoms. We, doctors, will not be able to see the symptoms in a patient. The only thing which we can do is a pap smear to detect whether HPV is present in the normal looking cancer, normal looking cervix or not. So when it turns into this stage, this is way ahead of, like, after 5 to 20 years, this stage will come. So that is the stage when you'll have symptoms. That is too late. So we have to catch the virus here in this stage only. So HPV, we don't have to be scared of HPV because only 15 strains of HPV are cancer causing strains. Rest of them are all low risk strains. See here, you see these are the strains which cause warts, genital warts. They are sexually transmitted, but these strains are very low risk. They do not cause any cancers in later life. But these strains, the high risk one, the 16, 18, 31, 33, all these cause cancers in both males and females. So both genders are basically infected by cancer causing HPV strains, and 90% of the women are, out of the entire population, 90% are women which are infected by high risk strains and they turn into cancer. 2% of them are in men which turn into penile carcinoma, and 7% is common in both men and women where the high risk HPV cause anal and oropharyngeal cancers. So the whole story is about human papilloma virus, and these risk factors are, they basically they will let the human papilloma virus stay in your body for a longer time and give it time to become into a cancer. So these are the risk factors. First one being a young age at full term pregnancy. If somebody is sexually active before she attains 18 years of age, or has a full term pregnancy, has delivered a baby before 20 years of age, they are at a higher risk of getting cervical cancer later in life. Because what happens now, the HPV infects immediately after the first intercourse. In a high risk case, it will infect in the first intercourse, and it will take its time, it will take its course to either resolve on its own or become a cancer. So sexual history is important. So if you have multiple sexual partner, you are a high risk candidate, or your partner who is considered to be high risk has multiple sexual partner or has had multiple sexual partners in the past, then you are at high risk. If you had 3 or more full-term pregnancies, then you get more susceptible to getting HPV infection, because there are two schools of thoughts. Either the hormone levels during the pregnancy is responsible for HPV to stay in the cervix for a longer time, or because of the weaker immune system of pregnant women. HPV infects very easily in the weak immune system. And smoking. Now, research has proved that tobacco byproducts have been also found in the cervical mucus of the women. What they do, these byproducts of smoking, they cause changes in the DNA of the cervical cells, which may contribute to the development of cervical cancer later, because HPV can infect. And patients, special cases who are patients who are HIV positive, they have very high chance of getting those HPVs which are cancer causing, the HPV 16. And autoimmune diseases are basically those diseases, patients with autoimmune diseases will have their own cells fighting against their own cells. So HPV, it gets a very easy access in these patients. Chlamydia is a sexually transmitted disease, and chlamydia, if already a female has got chlamydia, it will provide a medium for the HPV to grow. Also, economic status, educational status is very important, because low income women, they cannot afford to go to the screening centers where pap smears are done, or they are not educated well to go to a screening center. They don't know the importance of screening. Also, a diet which is low in fruits and vegetables, which is which is contributory factor in every cancer. Also, a family history of cervical cancer. If you have a family history of cervical cancer, you are more prone to get HPV related cervical cancer later in life. Okay, this is a intrauterine contraceptive device available in the form of copper T, Mirena. It is used for contraception or any bleeding disorder in female related to uterus. But this also has been proven to be protective against HPV. It will thicken your cervical mucus. It will not let HPV to get attached to the cervical cells that easily. So it is a protective method. So symptoms and signs. Before I say anything about symptoms and signs, you need to know that symptoms and signs will appear only and only when you have full-blown cervical carcinoma which has reached, apart from cervix, it has reached your uterus and adjacent areas. So initially it is going to be asymptomatic in the early stages, and which can be very easily detected by pap smear. So that is the time we catch it. That is the time we get hold of that HPV, get rid of it, so that it doesn't turn into cancer. If it does turn into cancer, so these are the signs: pain during intercourse, post-intercourse bleeding, post-menopausal bleeding, between periods there's a bleeding, but these are not the unusual vaginal discharge, fatigue, and lower back ache. These are not very common symptoms. These are common in all other cancers also. So mainly you have to be very careful if you have post-intercourse bleeding, or pain during intercourse, or post-menopausal bleeding. You have attained your menopause, your periods have stopped, 1 year later you are having bleeding. So you have to be very careful about them. So these are the signs when cancer has spread. Okay, so to prevent cervical cancer to appear, we usually call you in our OPDs for regular checkups, and this is how we inspect you. We do a visual inspection of your vulva, vagina, perineal area, then do a speculum examination, then we do an internal checkup and other system examination to check for any masses. So these are the instruments we need for pap smear. You should know that when you go to a doctor, these are the things which are going to be used for a pap smear. This is a speculum. This is a speculum which will be introduced in your vagina, and to have a look at the cervix, because cervix is not visible otherwise. So these are the brushes and the spatulas which are used to take scrapings from the external part of the cervix which lies in your vagina. The pictorial representation of how the speculum, you see the speculum I showed, the speculum is put in the vaginal canal. The vaginal canal is separated, and here we can see the cervix. From here we'll take the scrapings, we'll take the swab, and this is completely painless procedure. Cervix does not have any pain receptors. It is a completely painless procedure. Okay, so here we are taking a pap smear. This is how a cervix looks to a doctor after introduction of a speculum in the vagina. So this is the os. This is the external part of the cervix which lies in the vagina, from where we are going to rotate this spatula here, and we're going to put the cells on a slide and observe under microscope. So this is the video showing your doctor will ask you to lie down on a table, on an examination table, and we're going to introduce the into the vagina, and vaginal wall is separated slowly. And now we can visualize the cervix. From there, we're going to take the brush, we're going to rotate it 360 degrees, we're going to take it and we're going to send it for microscopic examination. So I would like to tell you a little about why we are taking from the cervix. What is here? What is it that HPV gets attached to? So this again you can see this is a uterus with ovaries. This is your cervix. This is the vaginal canal. This is the cervix, which is in the part is in the vagina. The lower part of the uterus is basically the cervix here. So this on the right, you can see a cut section of the same uterus and the vaginal wall. And this portion is the cervix from where we are taking the cells. Why we are taking the cells from here? Because this is a very weak area where the cells from the uterine endometrium, the uterine cells, transform into cervical cells. They come out here, they change into cervical cells. This area is a weak zone where the transformation of one cell to another cell occurs. This is the area where HPV takes opportunity to get attached to it and later stays there, causes cancer. So this is how a cervix, this is a normal looking cervix. This dark red portion, these are the cells coming from the uterus going towards the light pink region. This is the cervix. So this junction you see marked in black, this junction is where we rotate our brushes. This junction is where the HPV loves to attach to and stay there. So we need to be very careful. We need to get the pap smear done regularly. Okay. So now that you've got your pap smear done, we have sent it for examination. What do we see? I already mentioned we cannot see anything by naked eye in an early stage. The only thing which can see the cells is a microscope. So under microscope, we see dysplasia. What is dysplasia? Dysplasia is bad. This is bad. Plasia is formation. So bad cells, formation of bad cells, formation of abnormal cells is what we see in a pap smear along with any evidence of any type of HPV present in these cells. Okay. So this complicated picture I have included, this all doctors might know, but this is important for the patients also because you see this is stage 0, stage 1, now everything is fine, normal looking cervix. This is when we collect the pap smear. This is when you get your regular screenings so that when we catch HPV at an earlier stage, we can destroy it at an earlier stage so that it doesn't turn into other cancer. It doesn't reach the other body parts. From here, it will start reaching your side walls. Then it will reach your intestines. It will reach your bladder here. So these things won't happen if you come at stage 0, stage 1. Get yourself checked, get yourself screened by pap smear and HPV testing. So this is how it happens. First, we should know that 80% of the women by the age of 45 years will get infected by HPV. It's a survey done again by a team of doctors, and we will get HPV at one or the other point of time. So what happens now? We don't have to be scared of it. We need to know that, see, HPV is infecting the cervix. It will take a few weeks. It will replicate. It will take a few weeks or a month to make the cells into abnormal looking cells under microscope. But visually, you will not have anything you cannot see by naked eye. No symptoms, nothing. But this stage, in 90% of the cases, within a year or two, it automatically leaves the body if the immunity is very good. But if it persists, it will come in the pap smear, abnormal cells will come in the pap smear, and if it persists, we will have to go for either, we will have to kill it. How will we kill it? Either we'll freeze it, which we in our terms call as cryocautery, or we will thermally, we'll heat the virus and kill it. That is called thermal ablation. That is a procedure under anesthesia, it is a very minor procedure, a minute or two. But even if we cure at that time, we kill the HPV at that time, it will not reach these stages. It will not go for an invasive cancer in later in life. So this part of the cervix, this part you see is normal looking cervix. This is where we need to take action. So prevention, how will you prevent cancer cervix? Prevention can be done by vaccination or by screening by PAPs and HPV DNA. We all should know that cervical cancer prevention starts in adolescence. Okay. So WHO says that HPV infection is a sexually transmitted infection and it is usually acquired within first few years of first intercourse. Ideally, therefore, the vaccine should be administered before sexual debut, that is, before any risk of exposure to HPV. Alright, so that is why when I'll tell you about when to get screened, how frequently to get screened, you'll know that you have to be screened within 3 years. So these are the vaccines available in the market. Cervarix, it covers HPV 16 and 18. HPV 16 and 18, if you remember, were those strains of HPV which 100% will cause cancer. So this is particularly aimed at preventing those cancers. So it's a Cervarix, and the age is again 9 years to 25 years. You can give it to the female, and actually these guidelines are made according to US and UK because the sexual activity starts early on. Also in rural India, the sexual activity starts early on because of early marriages. So it's safe to give your children Cervarix at 12 years. Starting from 12 years, you can safely give to the children. Okay, and it is over a period of 6 months. So like today you take it. So next vaccine will be 2 months later and next will be 6 months later. So this one is another vaccine, can be given to both males and females. It is Gardasil. It covers 4 strains. It also covers those 2 strains causing genital warts. The benign strains also it is covering. So it is also a good vaccine. It is preventive against anal, cervical, vulval, vaginal cancer and warts as well. And the same time period, over 6 months, take it today, then 2 months later, then 6 months later. Age group will be same. You can start at 12 years. 9 to 26 is the age group, but you can start giving at 12 years. And if there's another scenario, if the patient is not sexually active till 26 years, you can also give those females who are not sexually active, whichever is earlier. So this is the difference between quadrivalent is our Gardasil. Quadrivalent is our Gardasil vaccine covering 4 strains, and bivalent is our Cervarix covering 2 strains. So very recently we have changed this age to 45 years because if somebody is not sexually active, even after 25 years, they can take the vaccination just before getting married, just before the sexual activity, they can take the vaccine. Okay, about this new vaccine, Gardasil 9, it has been recently introduced. It covers 9 strains of viruses, including what's causing virus and including the cancer causing HPV strains. So I feel this is the best one, but whenever you want to take a vaccine, you can inquire in your hospital wherever you are consulting your gynecologist, and according to the availability of the vaccine there, you can take it. So these are the studies. Many studies were done to check the efficacy and the effects of vaccine. Vaccine is completely safe. Everybody can take it because when you take a vaccine, your body responds in a your immune system will respond in a better way as compared to when you get infected. It will fight better when a vaccine is given. So that is the reason. They're completely safe. Okay. So now, prevention by screening, prevention by pap smear. Suppose I have convinced you to take vaccine. Now, what are the screening methods? What are the screening methods for us? For us, we have Pap smear along with HPV testing. That is HPV DNA testing. It is done within the same sitting when you go to a doctor. So you have to get your Pap smear every 3 years if you are between the ages of 21 to 29 years. But if you are not sexually active even till 29 years, you obviously you will not get a Pap smear done. But if you're sexually active, you have to start within 3 years of sexual activity. You have to start getting yourself checked. And if you are aged between 30 to 65 years, you have to get Pap smear every 3 years, or you have to get HPV testing along with Pap smear every 5 years. If you are above 65, you do not need any screening. Okay. Now, I told you that you get vaccinated and then do screening also. Why? Why do you need to screen even after getting vaccinated? See, this slide shows the number of HPV viruses, number of strains a HPV has. It has got more than 200 strains and only 15 are carcinogenic, cancer causing. But there are other strains also which the vaccine is not covering. So you have to get yourself tested regularly, Pap smear done regularly every 3 years according to the guidelines. There are certain cases. Suppose you have been your hysterectomy has been done. Your doctor has removed the uterus, ovaries, and cervix, telling you that you had cervical cancer which had spread to the uterus. So I have removed your cervix and uterus along with the ovaries. So in those cases, you have to get your screening done because you were operated for cervical cancer. But those other females in where we tell you that we have left your cervix, we have removed the uterus and ovaries because of any reason, and but we have left the cervix. So you will have to get your screening done in that case also because cervix is there. Okay. For special cases like HIV positive women, we do a 1 year checkup for them because as I mentioned earlier, HIV positive women are more susceptible to get HPV or that too cancer causing HPV 16 and 18. So finally, we've learned that cervical cancer is the most common cancer in the rural India. But most common cancer in the cities is breast cancer, followed by again second most common cervical cancer. But I would like to throw some light on breast cancer because 1 in 28 women are likely to develop breast cancer, and we as women we need to know about both these cancers, do as much as we can to prevent it. So you need to know about signs and symptoms of breast cancer. You need to examine your breasts every month, 2 to 3 days after your periods. Examine the whole breast with your finger pads and with the oil on the finger pads, and examine the entire breast. So you have to look for any visible lump. You see in the mirror, you have to look for any visible lump in the breast, any dimpled or depressed skin, any swelling, any retraction, inversion of the nipple, any pain in the breast anywhere, any type of discharge, or any irritation or the changes in the texture of the skin over the breast. You have to be careful about that, and every month do your self-examination. Okay. So I already mentioned your cervical cancer screening, which has to be done every 3 years with Pap smear. For breast cancer, the women who are above 35, they should get an annual mammography. Okay, annual mammography or magnetic resonance imaging MRI every year. Okay, and those who are below 35 years of age, they should examine their breast every month. All women should examine their breast on their own every month. But from 18 to 25 years of age, the choice of investigation, if you observe a lump, you have to go to your doctor, and the choice of investigation for people who are less than 35 is ultrasound of the breast, because the breast tissue is very dense before 35 years of age, before 25 years of age, and you cannot see very clearly in mammography. So mammography is only meant for people above 35 years of age. Okay. So to summarize, cervical cancer is the most common cancer in women in India, And in rural India, cervical cancer is more common, breast cancer being the second most. In cities, breast cancer is the most common, cervical cancer being the second most common. So symptoms of cervical cancer include any type of abnormal vaginal bleeding, be it post intercourse bleeding, post menopausal bleeding after your menopause, could be pain during intercourse. These are alarming signs when you have to rush to your doctor. Okay, so vaccines are Cervarix, Gardasil, Gardasil 9, Gardasil 9 being the recent one, and you have to give the vaccination before first sexual activity. And the screening by pap smear or liquid based cytology has to start within 3 years of your first sexual activity. Okay. So cervical cancer is completely preventable, 100% preventable with vaccine and screening. And I hope I have been able to make you aware of this cervical cancer. And I hope you will also make your near and dear ones aware of it. Thank you for your patience. And please, if you have any questions, please ask in the Q&A section. Can condoms, yeah, can Dola has asked, can condoms prevent this infection? See, condoms can prevent a sexually transmitted disease, but this disease, this HPV, can be transmitted via, skin to skin contact or mucous membrane contacts that will not be covered by a condom. So they do not provide 100% prevention for this infection. You will have to go for your screenings. You will have to go for your vaccination. So. It is said that frequent pap smear test is not advisable. See, frequent pap smear test is, see, you have to get the test done every 3 years. Suppose it is positive, suppose HPV comes, then you have to go for a treatment, like you have to go for some definitive treatment to kill the HPV. And then one yearly, you will have to, for those special cases, you have to go to your doctor one yearly till you get negative. So I am not aware of this frequent pap smear test, because it is to be done every 3 years or it is to be done every 1 year if somebody is positive. So there is no harm in getting it done. It doesn't cause any harm. Okay. I have another question. I am 29 and married. Have not taken cervical cancer vaccination. What is the process I should follow to get it done now? See, if you are sexually active, you can get a vaccination. It is only going to be protective, but you have to again and again, you have to go for your screening. See, you are 29, you have to go for pap smear every 3 years. But after you are 30, you have, whenever you go for a pap smear every 3 years, get your HPV DNA testing also done along. That is, they will check under microscope what HPV virus is, it is infecting your cervical cells or not. So every 3 years you have to go for screening. Again, you can take the vaccination. Now also you can take the vaccination. Only that its effect will be not as much as it would have been preventive in a person who was not sexually active. But you can take the vaccination. Vaccines, how effective are the vaccines? Vaccines are effective, but then again, I told you there are 200 strains. We are covering in the vaccines, we are covering most of the strains. We are covering those dangerous strains which will 100% turn into cancer. The most common ones being 16 and 18. So, vaccines which are made, it is 100% effective, I would not say, because again, you have to go for screening for the other strains. You know, some undiscovered strains, already discovered strains, which can be a cause of cancer. Maybe, you know, it's a very, we are still researching on this topic. So, but vaccines will prevent you against those which are we are already covering, 16 and 18, which is most common in India, cause of adenocarcinoma of uterus, of cervix. It's very common, and mostly 90% of the time we get 16 and 18 only. So vaccines are effective. Why are vaccines made mandate? Just like, no, it is not a mandate, but I would say that, you know, it should be for every woman, for every adolescent. You should feel it's mandate for me, because you know these cancers, when you have that cancer, no, for this you can't do anything. But what you'll feel sorry about is that what would have, how would my my health problems would have changed if I would have taken that HPV vaccine years ago. So for that reason, you yourself feel that I should get the vaccine. I should get it so that I don't in future make it into a cancer. Okay. It is not like polio. It is not mandatory like polio. It is your own conscience which will make you go to the doctor, get yourself screened, get yourself vaccinated, get your kids vaccinated. Okay. It's such a preventable, it is 100% preventable. There are patients who come to me, feel sorry, madam, why I didn't know 15 years back, why nobody told me, you know, that feeling, you know, that is the reason. No, nobody is asking you to take it. You yourself, you will take it. So that is how. I have taken first 2 doses of vaccination, but missed the third and the last dose. What what should I have to do? Okay, you've taken the first 2 doses at the right time, but if it has been more than 3 years, if it has been more than 3 years since you missed your last dose, you have to take the entire vaccination again. But if you missed it a month back, you can take it now. A month or 2 months back, you can take it now. All right. Are not made. Can you please brief again how to examine for breast cancer? Okay. Just 1 second. I will share my screen. Yeah. See, this is breast self-examination. To use the finger pads, flat finger pads to examine your breast, and you have to examine your breast as well as the axillary region. Whole breast in circular motion from up to down, from down to up, and in circular motion from nipple area to towards outside. Okay, you have to examine every part, and you have to also examine the axilla. You have to put one hand over your head to keep it like this, and you have to examine your axilla as well as your breast. Okay. Okay, how effective is the vaccination after 35 years of age? See, vaccination efficacy decreases, it depends upon the amount of exposure you've had. If you have already had 3 kids, if you are already sexually active since last 15 years, vaccination will not help. If you are already infected with HPV, some stage of your life you've got your HPV in your cervix, then it might not help. It will not kill the virus. It will only generate a strong immune response from your body, but it will not 100% kill the virus there. Okay, so vaccination after 35 years of age and more than 10 years of sexual activity, efficacy becomes less, but still you can take it. It has a protective effect. Still you can take it. Get your screening done 3 yearly by pap smear. What step is the government taking to prevent this cancer? See, government is what the Indian Society of Colposcopy is doing, that we organize, seminars, and we organize all the informative sessions with the patients directly. Earlier in our post graduation days, we used to go to the rural areas and make them aware. Actually, it is all about educating a person about the harmful effects, what are, how you will be affected. This is how you will see a cervix cancer cervix. This is how you'll feel. These are the symptoms you'll have. You'll suffer. We have to convince them. So government actively, ISCCP, Indian Society of Colposcopy, is only, they are only organizing these rural area seminars, mostly concentrating on the rural areas only. But recently, due to the pandemic, we have not been able to make aware people, make the people aware that much. But earlier, we used to even go to the rural areas and educate the people about it. Next question is, if one female is having menstrual after a gap of 1 year, menses after a gap of 1 year, okay, then whether they should undergo for cervical cancer screening. See, if you are having, see, it depends if you have attained menopause, or is it you are suffering with other diseases. If the person who has written this question, if you tell me the age of the female, if she is menopausal, like she is 40 to 45, and it's her age to, cessation, stoppage of menses. If the menses has stopped for 1 year, suddenly she has had bleeding. Screening will not help. You have to go to your doctor, because that is a sign that cervical cancer has spread. Okay, it has spread out from the cervix. It has spread out. There will be a growth there which bleeds on touch, on intercourse. So if it that case scenario where the age is around menopause, around the age when your menses should stop, then that is the scenario. If it is a young patient whose menses 1 year tak you didn't have your menses, but you are having some hormonal disbalance like PCOS or any other prolactin hormone or any thyroid hormone, we have to investigate those first in a young patient. Irrespective of that, screening is basically a regular thing. You have to go every 3 years, set a reminder. You have to go get your pap smear done. Koi symptom ho na ho, you have to get a pap smear done every 3 years. So screening is not a treatment; it is a prevention. We are going to catch it when we can. When we can't is the stage when after menopause, after periods have stopped forever, suddenly bleeding. This is not a stage of screening, it is a stage of treatment. You go to your doctor, you get yourself treated for that cancer according to the stage it has reached. If it has reached your vaginal wall, then locally we are going to do under anesthesia, we're going to do some procedure under a colposcope. It is a microscope under which we see your cervical cells, and then we kill those cells which are cancer cells, and we ask you to come very regularly again and again to get a pap smear, you to get all your HPV testing done. So screening is a prevention, it is not treatment, it is prevention. Pap smear is preventing you to reach that stage when you're going to have cancer. So is the treatment process, if any? Somebody has written, I am unable to hear. What is the treatment process, if any? Can you please elaborate the treatment process? What do you want to know exactly? The treatment process of cervical cancer is, again, you know, if you are detected with HPV at the time of screening, there is no symptom at the time of screening, you are detected with HPV, high risk HPV, then what we do, we kill the virus by doing cryocautery, by freezing it to death. Vaginally it is done. It is a non-invasive procedure. It is a very minor procedure, minor OT procedure. You will be put in sedation, you will be given anesthesia, and within 2 minutes we will cauterize. We will kill the virus vaginally by putting a probe on the cervix, which is a cold probe, nitrous oxide probe, which will freeze it to death. The virus and the cells will die, and within a few days the cervix will come back into its normal shape and size. So that is one treatment process when you are detected at screening. If you are asking me about the treatment process of CA cancer cervix, when you get cancer, it depends on the stage. If it is only like it is a growth in the cervix and the vagina, then we do a selective excision of that area. We call it trachelectomy. That is like, to preserve. If a young patient gets it, then we do a procedure in which we remove only that parts of the cervix which are having proper growth, proper abnormal cells. They have reached a very high grade cancer stage. So that time we remove it, and then we also get further testing done to know how much it has spread. Depending on that, we go for radiotherapy, chemotherapy, or removal of uterus. It depends on the stage of the cancer. Okay. General curiosity, how is the large rural population and how income section of women dealing with cervical diagnosis? How is the large rural population and low income section of women dealing with cervical cancer? Okay. See, 65% to 70% of India is rural and low income. So it's a very slow process. They are convinced, but there we have special tests because they cannot afford to go for pap smear screening, and they cannot go for liquid based cytology because it is either expensive for them or there are no available screening centers only altogether there. So what we do there is we go for a visual inspection under acetic acid. Team of doctors are posted in the PHCs where we, call the patients, and we locally put a solution of 5% acetic acid on the cervix, and we see it with the naked eye or via colposcope if it is available. These are the scenarios when pap smear is not available. So we do that. We visually inspect the cervix by putting acetic acid over it. There are certain changes which happen in the cervix. If there are abnormal cells present, wherever the acetic acid will stain, it will turn into white. And from there, we take the biopsy or we go for further testing, from there. So there we do not have much facilities available, but slowly, gradually, the rural population is also getting more aware of this scenario. They are making an effort to go to a nearby medical college where pap smears are available for free. So it will take time, but I hope it will spread as much, and so that rural population can reach the screening centers. All we need to do is make them reach there. So that is how they're dealing with it. Okay, whether endometrial cyst can cause cervical cancer? No. Endometrial cyst is absolutely different thing. Cervical cancer, if a cervical cancer occurs, it occurs only and only because of those high risk strains of human papilloma virus, HPV virus. That's it. Nothing other than that causes cervical cancer. Only HPV causes cervical cancer. Cancer of the uterus might reach the cervix. That's all cancers ka kahani, story of all cancers, that it starts from one part, reaches everywhere it wants to go. That is a different scenario. But endometrial cyst is a absolutely benign thing. It is not a malignancy. It is not a cancer stage or pre-cancer stage also. Okay, so it can be treated. Endometrial cyst is a hormonal disbalance in your body causing endometriosis, which can be treated with medicines. And depending on the size of the cyst, if it is less than 5 centimeter size, we can treat it by oral medication. There is nothing related to cervical cancer with endometrial cyst. No. White discharge from breast is happening. Is there any problem? See, if your age is reproductive age group, okay, for this white discharge, first of all, you need to get the discharge examined by a gynecologist. Okay, and if the discharge could be, because some hormones in the body, they get disbalanced, like prolactin hormone. So what happens is you start having discharge, whitish discharge from the breasts. For that, you need to get yourself checked. Okay, and also you can do your self-examination, check for any lumps. You can consult your doctor. It's not an alarming situation that white discharge is 100% abnormal. White discharge can be pseudo-lactational, it is called galactorrhea in our terms. So it can be like, just like breastfeeding, lactating mothers who breastfeed their babies. They also have whitish discharge earlier stages, and then it turns into, first it is colostrum, it turns into milk later. So white discharge needs to be investigated, depends on what stage of life are you in. If you are in reproductive age group, if you just stop feeding your baby, it all depends on that and on the hormones also. So it's you should go to a gynecologist, get yourself checked what discharge is. Hi, Dr. Deepika. Thank you for the wonderful session. Thank you for hearing. It was a post-lunch session. I hope I didn't put half of you to sleep. Okay. I would like to know how to keep cervix healthy. See, you need to take precautions. Like if you smoke, you should stop smoking. If you your partner has a history of multiple sexual partners, or you have had a history of multiple sexual partners, you should try to be in a monogamous or monoandrous relationship. And you have to get yourself screened. You can keep your cervix healthy. Cervix has its own mechanism to cleanse up. Your cervix is healthy. If you get some infection, we get that is the treatment. There is a treatment, we give you vaginal pessaries to treat your cervix for any infections. But as such, to keep cervix healthy, you can only avoid those risk factors. Just stop smoking, and then have a healthy diet, keep your immune system good, have lots of fruits and vegetables in your diet, have lots of omega rich foods in your diet, or you can also use condoms during intercourse. You can use IUCD instead of oral contraceptive pills. You can use IUCD, intrauterine devices, for like copper-T for your contraception purpose. These are the way your cervix will stay healthy. Include these practices in your, this is preventive. Okay. Chances of getting these at the age of 32 for unmarried, not sexually involved. No, you don't have any chance of getting HPV infection if you've never had sexual activity, because it is all sexually transmitted. You need to maintain your there's a very slight 0.001% chance that if you use public toilets, if somebody else has used public toilets who is HPV positive, there are slight chance, but then your cervix will fight against it because you've never been sexually active. So it will fight against it. Even if you're 32 unmarried, I would suggest get yourself vaccinated before you start any sexual activity. What hygiene should we adhere while using pads? Does it relate to any vagina? No. See, pads, anything which is kept, for pads, you have to change every 3 to 4 hours. You have to change your pads during periods. It is just basic hygiene etiquettes. You have to change your pads 3 to 4 times, like in 3 to 4 hours. So it doesn't have any relation with vaginal cancer. Okay, it's I I don't know from where you've got this information. It does not have any relation with vaginal cancers. You have to regularly change your pads. You have to keep your hygiene well, and use good quality pads. It's not related. If your cervix is normal in the ultrasound report, then also perhaps see, first of all, cervix, what we can't see with our own eyes. Forget about ultrasound telling cervix is normal. Your cervix will become abnormal when your cancer has progressed to a very later stage. Your cervix will be normal till your first stage of HPV infection, stage 1. When the cancer is in situ, it is inside the cervix, it can be prevented, it can be killed, it can be stopped. So there is no relationship of ultrasound showing showing cervix to be normal and pap smear. You have to get your pap smear if you're sexually active. Okay, we can't see, we doctors can't see with our naked eye if your cervix is having cancer. If it is it has got infected with HPV, we cannot see. We also need a microscope to examine your cells. That is what pap smear is about. You have to get a pap smear done, irrespective of ultrasound says what, irrespective of even your doctor says, oh, it's a normal looking cell, don't get it done. No, you have to get it done every 3 years. Okay. Okay. What are the common symptoms of cervical cancer? Can pregnant women or thyroid or diabetic patients also take these vaccinations? Yeah, you can take these vaccinations, but not pregnant women. Not recommended for pregnant women. Okay, either you take it before getting pregnant, that like before sexual activity, as I told you, vaccine should be taken. Ideally, best time to take it before your first sexual activity. Okay, so pregnant women, it is not advisable. Thyroid diabetes is not a contraindication. You can take it. And what are the common symptoms of cervical cancer? It is abnormal vaginal bleeding. Abnormal vaginal bleeding as in post-intercourse, you are post-sex, you are having bleeding. During sex, you are having pain. Okay, that is the most common presenting feature of many patients. And also, once you have attained your menopause, once you have attained your age of 45 years and you have stopped having menses, then after 1 or 2 years, again you had, suddenly you're having periods. So that is not normal at all. Okay, so these are the common symptoms of cervical cancer. Okay, after 3 doses, if one miss out on 1 dose, then should they be considered covered by vaccine or no? You have to take the last dose. You have to take the last dose. Suppose you've missed it for a month, 2, 3 months, you can take the last dose. But if it has crossed 6 months, 1 year, then you have to take the entire course again. If vaccine also effective for 35 years and above, if not taken already, you can take it. It is same question was earlier asked by someone else. So you can take the vaccine after 35 years, but it will be little less effective as compared to given to those who have not had any sexual activity. But if somebody is sexually active for the last 15 years, has had kids, it will be less effective as compared to those people who are getting it before. Okay. But you can take vaccine to provide some protection. Then again, you have to screen, you have to go for pap smear. Even if you get vaccinated at 35, it will not cure you of all the HPVs. You have to get yourself screened every 3 years. Just go to the clinic, get your pap test done. It's a very painless procedure. How many doses of vaccine are given? Yeah. So if you take 3 doses are given over a period of 6 months time. So if you take a vaccine today, so 2 months later or 1 month later, depending on what vaccine you are taking or what is available with your health provider. So you will take another second dose after 2 months, then third dose will be given after 6 months. So that's how a vaccine is given. Okay. Do they have any side effects? If yes, what are those? See, side effects of Vaccines, this vaccine does not cause any side effect. What I have seen in my practice, according to my experience, they do not have a side effect. They have not seen a single patient having any sort of any problem after getting a vaccine. Never. Other vaccines which you, these days we are getting a lot of vaccines for a lot of diseases, but for this one there is no side effect. Is vaginal itching one of the symptoms of HPV infection? See, when you say HPV infection, yeah, it could be, but vaginal itching has to be investigated. It could be simple candidiasis. Candidiasis means fungal infection in the vaginal region. Simple. Okay, that can be treated. Also, you can get up whenever you're anyway going to go to for your vaginal itching. If you go to a doctor, if you go to a gynecologist, you can get your PAPs done. Even if it is not a symptom, even if it is a symptom, if you've never got it done, start today. If you've got it done, wait for 3 years. Wait for 3 years. Nothing is going to happen in 3 years. But in 3 years, after 3 years, HPV starts becoming a cancer. Slowly, gradually, it starts advancing in stages. It takes 10 to 15 years to get a proper cancer. So you've got a lot of time to prevent yourself. So, okay, the vaginal itching is not a, could be, it is not a 100% symptom of HPV. You have to get your pap smear done and your HPV testing done. Why should men take this vaccine? See, men are taking this vaccination in foreign country because in India the stats are just 2%, but there it's little higher. So men are taking it in the foreign country. But why should they take it? The reason being 2% of these HPV, 2% of them cause high risk. They are high risk strains. They cause cancers, penile cancer and anal cancer in men. Okay. So men can also take this. I am 29, unmarried. Yes, you can get the vaccine. 29, unmarried. Yes, you can get the vaccine now. While having intercourse, I mostly get urine bladder infection, which sometimes become recurring. It's a sign? No, it's not a sign. If you have recurrent urinary tract infection, you have to get yourself checked properly and treated properly for the UTI, for the urinary tract infection. But it is not a sign of cancer. It is not a sign of cancer. But again, I would say get yourself tested. Get yourself tested again and again. I'll be saying pap smear, you have to get it done every 3 years. Otherwise, you will not know anything. It is not visible to us. It is not visible to anyone. Nobody knows which HPV will become cancer 15 years later. So all in all, you have to go for your pap smear to your doctor every 3 years. Where can we get the vaccination done? See, if wherever you are staying, you can call your nearby hospitals having a gynae department. They can only tell you what vaccines are available, and there you can get the vaccination done. How costly is the screening and vaccination? See, if in the government hospitals, it's for free. Okay, vaccination and screening in some government hospitals, it's absolutely free. You will have to find out for vaccination, but screening is mostly these days we have made it free in all government hospitals. Not a single patient doesn't have to spend anything. For private hospitals, they will charge you. To the vaccination give 100% protection. See, again, I would say 100% protection from the strains which the vaccine covers. That is HPV 16, 18, those genital warts causing strains 6, 11. These strains which are covered by the vaccine, it will give protection against them. But the other strains, it will not protect you against getting the other strains which are maybe not cancer causing. Not all cancer or all HPV are cancer causing. Okay. So it will not give you 100% protection for all the strains of HPV. Anyway, you will have to go for screening to know कि कुछ you're not getting any other infection, any other HPV strain is not infecting you. Okay. Want to know about herpes and HPV difference and how herpes can spread? Herpes can be low risk of cervical cancer. See, herpes is a sexually transmitted disease. HPV is a herpes simplex virus is something else, and human papilloma virus is something else. Both are STDs. Both are separate STDs. Okay. So herpes is transmitted between partners. Okay. It can be a low risk for cervical cancer. See, what herpes will do now, herpes will, just like chlamydia, just like any other STD, it will create an environment for other viruses to come and attack the cervical cells. It will not cause cancer, but it will provide an environment vulnerable, so vulnerable that HPV can come and attack anytime. So herpes has to be treated, and screening again has to be done for your HPV. Both are different. Okay. Sometimes even I don't drink enough water or use public toilets, I get urine infection. Yeah, you have to drink 3 to 4 liters of water a day, and have a healthy diet. Even if you use public toilets, clean yourself up thoroughly. And it's very minimum chance that from public toilets you will get HPV, but then that minimum chance also you should consider, and just clean yourself up. It is not that you'll get infected by the cancer causing HPV immediately. It's not that. If your immunity is strong, if you are having a healthy diet, if you do not smoke, you don't have multiple sexual partners, these things will help you fight the infection on its own. Within a year or two it will disappear. Suppose you get your first pap smear done, you had no HPV in it. In next year, suppose you get infected. Within 2 years, before you do your next pap smear after 3 years, it will be gone. So it's also, it has positive aspects also. You can prevent it, it will be treated on its own, or we can intervene. So don't get worried about getting HPV from 100%. No, there are other risk factors which really cause the HPV. These are very minimum chances. And for the urine infection, you need to consult your doctor. If it is recurrent, you need to treat it from the root cause. You need to get your urine test done. You can't just treat the symptoms. Okay. Next question is, I'm 42 years old. I do pap smear test regularly. I was negative. I'm getting white discharge and it smells. She told me I'd be due to infection, some tablets. Okay, few months again starting very well. Should be related to HPV. See, yeah. See, this is a recurrent vaginal infection. You are getting your pap smear done. Don't worry. If something is happening, you will come to know at the earliest. If you are a regular person who is getting a pap smear done regularly every 3 years, you need not worry. And this could be just an infection. But what you have to do, you have to also treat your partner, because your partner might be infecting you again and again. Okay. So apart from the vaginal pessaries you have been suggested, you must have been given some antibiotics, but your partner also needs to be, given a antibiotic course, which we usually give. So that you don't have regular regular infections. And also, while you are taking your medicines for say 7 days, she must have prescribed you, or for 14 days, while you are having those medicines, do not have intercourse, or if you have intercourse, use barrier method, that is condoms, and treat your partner. That's very important. Otherwise you will be the only one who's suffering, because partners are symptomless. They do not have symptoms. Men do not have any symptoms of sexually transmitted diseases. Mostly sexually transmitted diseases, no symptoms in men. They just keep infecting. Both of you will keep infecting each other. Either you are not taking your proper treatment for 14 days, or he is not taking his 24-hour shot of antibiotic is only given. There's a kit which is given to the husband, and for 24 hours, and that's it. All you need to do is take precautions for 14 days, no intercourse, or with barrier or condoms. Okay. I just had my C-section 2 months back. Would my gynae be able to recognize if there was any problem? No, you don't need to. You can get a pap smear done, but you can get it done later also. After 6 months, 2 months only, there is no need, because give it time. Even if you've had some some minor infection, it will resolve on its own. Give it time. It's not an emergency that immediately after 2 months of cesarean section you have to get it done. You can wait for a year. Okay. But yes, your gynae will be able to recognize, because if you get a pap smear, again, it is not visible to gynecologists also. If HPV infection occurs, it is only seen in pap smear if there are any abnormal cells and if there is any HPV DNA present. Okay. Okay. Can makeup products usage by multiple people cause cancer cervix? See, makeup products usage won't cause cancer cervix, but the razors, if you are using the same razor, that will, that can, that is a high chance, because anywhere there is any mucous membrane, contact of mucous membrane or blood or anything, that has higher chance as compared to other makeups. Okay. What is the average cost of vaccine and pap smear? See, it depends on your health provider. Okay, pap smears can be free, vaccines can be free. Okay, but they can charge you also in private setups. As I told, government setup they are free. In private setup they will charge you, and depends on your health provider. You will have to call your nearest hospital where there's a gynae department, and you can inquire about the cost of the vaccine and pap smear. Usually they club it with the OPD charges. Usually they do that. Okay. Hi, while having intercourse, I mostly get urine bladder infection. Okay. This has been asked again. I've answered this one. For recurrent urinary bladder infection, you have to treat yourself, treat your partner. Okay. Both need to be treated, and please keep getting your pap smear irrespective of UTI or any discharges. What would be the cost of vaccination for all 4 doses in India? See, this again, I would like to ask you to please call your nearest hospital where vaccines are available. They would be able to tell you better, because I have been providing free vaccination only till date. I've never charged, because I have worked in the, wherever I have worked, it was free for the patients. But your nearest health provider will be the best, will give the best answer to your query. I am 38 and mother of two. Please advise that should I take a vaccine still? See, you can take a vaccine, but again, I would say it will not be as effective for those. Suppose for your daughters, if you give them the vaccine at 12 years, if you have daughters, you give them the vaccine at 12 years, it will be more effective for them later in their life. That it will be effective for you at this time. But yes, if not 90%, it will be effective for 40-50%. You can take it, but you have to club it with your pap smear screening. You have to go for you at 38, you have to get pap smear and HPV testing. In one sitting only they'll do. With one brush only will do everything whenever you go to the gynecologist. Okay. Can males take the, yes, they can take the vaccine. Chances of getting breast cancer for unmarried at 32. See, if your immediate, your first degree relative, your mother, your mother's sister, your own sister is has a history, you have a family history of breast cancer in any of your relatives, first degree most common, also in your grandmother, or like that, if you have a family history, then you have to get yourself tested for a gene BRCA1 or 2. You can get yourself tested, but chances of getting breast cancer does not increase unless you have a familial history of breast cancer. Okay. Plus, you can examine your breast after on the 3rd day or 4th day of your periods every month. If you have any doubts, if you feel there is any sort of lump or any changes in your breast, you can go to your gynecologist, get yourself examined. Tell them I want to get investigated for breast cancer. If you have a history in your family, they will automatically ask you to get a BRCA1 or 2 gene tested. So that is the risk factor. Is the vaccine really important for men? See, yeah, it is important. It is depends on you, you know. It is important, according to me, it is important for men as well as women. So men should take it also. Because you know, men will not have any symptoms. They will just keep spreading, and if they have symptoms, they will have penile carcinoma directly. They will have that. So again, you know, men should also take it. There is no problem in taking it. Okay. I'm 25 and not sexually active. From where can I get my vaccine? And I have not even consulted a gynecologist. Please guide. Okay, if you are planning to get married or being sexually active, you can get your vaccine from the nearest hospital where there is a gynae department. You can call them. Depends on your place what vaccine is available. See, Gardasil 9 is a recent vaccine, not available everywhere, but you can take the other two vaccines, Cervarix and Gardasil. So you have to ask your nearest hospital, and they'll guide you with that. I'm 26 years and have DVT. Can I still go for vaccination? I am on medication for. Yeah, it is safe. There is no interaction. There is no interaction. But in case your DVT is resolved and you are not sexually active, so you can delay it also. In case you can wait for your DVT to be resolved. But it's safe. There are no side effects as such. At what age do we have to do our first examination of cervical cancer? See, more than age, what is important is your sexual activity. For examination, your pap smear examination, you have to get yourself examined within 3 years of your sexual activity. Within 3 years. Okay, if you are not sexually active, then you can get your vaccination done before your sexual activity. Okay, before that you don't need any examination if you're not sexually active. I am 34 years, married for more than 6 years now, and have a kid. So let's say I get myself vaccinated now, completed 3 doses. Still, should I follow routine getting vaccinated every three? No, no, no. You once you're vaccinated, you are vaccinated. Okay, you don't have to get vaccinated every 3 years. You have to get pap smear. You have to get yourself screened. You have to go to the doctor to get that pap smear test done from the vaginal end. You have to do that every 3 years. Vaccine is only once. Okay, vaccine is once. Once you are vaccinated, following the exact protocol of 0 to 6 months, then you don't need to get vaccinated again. You need to go for pap smear. Go to the doctor, tell I want to get a pap smear done. Last date of my pap smear was 3 years back. So that's how you're going to do what you're going to do after vaccination or without vaccination. Either ways. My mother sometimes gets chest pain when she has periods in next 10 days or 1 week. See, for your mother, again related to today's topic, please get if she's less than 65 years of age, please get her. Okay, she must have she's having periods, so obviously she is not 65. Okay, if she's around in 40s or above 35, also get her examined. Okay, for the annually mammography for the breast cancer point of view, to prevent it so that there is no problem. And for cervical cancer, you can get her pap smear done along with HPV cytology, HPV DNA. That means human papilloma virus also. You have to get it done along with your mother's pap smear. About today's topic, about the chest pain you are saying, you need to take her to a doctor, get her heart investigations also done. If she's getting a chest pain, don't ignore it. Okay, you should go to the hospital and get her investigated. Okay, age is 52 years. Okay, 52 years, Alka. Let me just see. What was the question? Just 1 second. Yeah, at 52 years, if you are having a gap of 1 year and then you are having your periods, then you have to get yourself checked with a gynecologist. It might be a sign of some form of cancer. Okay. Okay. Can the vaccination be taken before menstruation starts? Yeah, it is not related to menstruation. You can take it anytime. And what is related to menstruation was, I was saying that you have to self-examine your breasts after menstruation. That is important, and pap smear, prefer it once the bleeding has stopped. The pap smear for cervical cancer screening, that should be done once the bleeding has stopped. Is it normal symptom or do we need to consult? Uh, okay. Unusual discharge is seen in Doc Online women users. What should be the first line of suggestion? Should be by general physicians. Yeah, for us, we can unusual discharge. We have to treat the symptoms. Suppose she's saying discharge according to the symptoms of discharge. If you feel it's bacterial vaginosis, you have to give her the drugs accordingly. If you feel it's candidiasis, it is with itching, so we give her antifungal drugs. Give her vaginal pessary, give her oral antibiotic, give her partner a antibiotic kit. Past 3 kits and all are available. So we have to do these steps, and we have to always suggest pap smear. Ask her when you had your last pap smear, and if she has had it in within last 3 years, then don't suggest her again. If she is not, then advise a pap smear to her. Can we prevent cervical and breast cancer through appropriate food or some exercise or change in the? Yes, it is one of the preventive methods, but most foolproof is getting yourself screened and vaccinated. If not vaccinated, at least get yourself screened every 3 years. Yes, and food, if you have proper food, any cancer, you can prevent any cancer by having good, high fiber food, fruits, vegetables, and diet should be less on red meat. These things prevent any type of cancers from happening. And exercise, yes, definitely. Yogas and exercises, half hour every day, in the routine, half hour on empty stomach, best way to exercise. And obviously it will prevent many cancers. And you can go for some intermittent fasting. It has been proven that it has got, when you do intermittent fasting, you can Google it. What is intermittent fasting? When you do intermittent fasting for say 16 hours or 12 hours, what happens in your body is your body it starts autophagy. Autophagy is your own body starts eating the abnormal cells anywhere in the body. It's not a treatment for cancer, but they have received a Nobel Prize because autophagy, the thing which is autophagy, it eats away all the abnormal cells. It helps in recycling your whole body. So that is very important. What happens, I'll tell you in a brief, since I'm giving it to all my patients, mostly all of my patients. So what happens in intermittent fasting, when you're fasting for more than say 16 hours, the autophagolysosomes, they start engulfing, they start eating your bad cells of your body. What happens is there is something called hormone sensitive lipase that is activated during your 16-hour strict fasting, when you've taken not a single calorie, just water. So it is a protective, preventive effect long term for any cancer. So this is something recent you can follow. You can Google it, intermittent fasting. Okay. Attended to this question. It is common after periods within 7 to 10 days. Again, blood discharge happens. Yeah, it is common in young. But again, I would say keep yourself up to date with your pap smear screening if you are married and sexually active. Okay. 7 to 10 days. Okay. It is not in after periods within 7 to 10 days. Again, blood discharge happen, could be for other reasons also in reproductive age group. That is in your age group when you can bear children. at that age group. It can happen due to other causes like polyps. You should go to a gynecologist if you have it. If you've just had it once, just once in the blue moon, you had discharge after 7 to 10 days again. You don't worry about it. If you have it for the second time, go to your gynecologist, get yourself investigated. Hi, I am 35-year-old. Fibroids are a reason for cancer. I have fibroids in my uterus. Please confirm, should I need back? Yes, vaccination and fibroid is not related, but fibroids are benign. They are not cancerous lesions. They are very benign, very silent. They are not, it depends on the size of your fibroids. If your size of your fibroid, if you have multiple fibroids and the size of the uterus has become as big as a 14-week uterus, 14-week pregnant uterus, then we need to do surgical removal because it will cause you some problems. See, fibroid, it doesn't grow fast. First of all, if it has grown till 14 weeks, it will cause problems like, bladder may urine, you will retain urine in your bladder, you will have difficulty passing urine, or you will have difficulty defecation in passing stool. So these to get relieved of the symptoms, then we go for any intervention. If fibroids are asymptomatic, your periods are normal, you will not have any problems. And by the age of 45, when you have reached your menopause, they will slowly shrink back to the very tiny size, because your uterus will be no more active, no more hormones, no more progesterone, estrogen. Also, there are medicines which we can give to decrease the size of the fibroids if your family is complete. There are options. So it is not related to cancer, but you should get your pap smear done regularly. And vaccination, you can get it done irrespective of fibroids. You have to get yourself vaccinated if you decide to get yourself vaccinated. Okay. And get yourself screened. Get your pap smear done every 3 years. And in your case, in 35-year-old, you have to also ask your doctor to do pap smear along with liquid cytology. Anyway, your doctor will know, a gynecologist will know that if you come at age 35, we will do your liquid cytology along with pap smear. That's same sitting. Okay. Somebody has written, ma'am, please reply. I don't know what message are you referring to. I hope I have replied it. Is cervix and breast cancer fatal, or a patient can survive by removing the affected parts from the body? See, cervix, any cancer is fatal, okay? Cancer means it is just not in the cervix, it has spread to other parts. Just not in the breast, it has spread to the axilla, it has spread to other parts. Initial stages, it is confined to the word with which we refer the cancer, but later it reaches the other parts of the body also. So obviously, if we catch it early, any cancer, the cancer which has a capability to be confined initially to one place, like cervical cancer and breast cancer, if we remove that region which is involved, then yes, we can, survival rate is good. But I'll tell you, if it is say third stage, you have gone to the doctor, somebody has gone to the doctor with higher stage of cancer, say they're having abnormal bleeding, they're having postcoital bleeding, post-intercourse bleeding, there are a lot of shedding of blood and clots in a menopausal woman, say 65-year-old woman. She will be investigated. She has found to be having cancer of the cervix as well as the uterus as well as the adjacent part. So we will remove the uterus and the cervix, and on opening the abdomen we will know if there are any lymph node involved. We'll remove all those, and after that we'll give her a course of radiotherapy. In these cases where the cancer has reached to a major infected major parts of your body like intestine, bladder, it is difficult to treat, but survival rate of very high grade cancer also is cervical cancer is 5 years as per the data says, that too in the highest grade. If you come at 3 years, at the third stage, if you come at the third stage of cervical cancer or third stage of any cancer of any invasive stage of any cancer, it has approximately 5 years in cervical cancer. In breast cancer also There have been patients who have survived 10 years also after getting operated. So it depends on when you go to the doctor, what stage you have reached the doctor. Okay, and after that also there are radiotherapy, chemotherapy, as long as we can prolong the life of the patient we do. It all depends on the extent of your cancer. Probability of getting cancer after vaccination, do I need to go for test after? Yes. Probability of getting cancer, see vaccination, again I would say vaccination will prevent only 9 types of strains. Maximum 9 types of strains are covered by one vaccine, but they are the most 90% of the cancers are caused by these ones only, or genital warts are caused by these ones only. So we cover it all. But the others who are undiscovered strains, the others who have been discovered and are around 200. So we need to know if you're getting infected by other strains. Okay, for that you have to go for screening for pap smear. You can't cut on the pap smear. Even if you don't get vaccinated, pap smear will save you. That is the whole point. Pap smear is the savior. It is there to catch the virus. It will catch the virus. We will act promptly. You will not go in the cancer stage. Okay, in earlier stage only, we'll kill it. So, how often should a 60-year-old woman get a pap smear? See, till 65 years, pap smear plus liquid-based cytology every 3 to 5 years. Okay, in every 3 years, suppose it comes positive, then you will be called frequently, say 1 year. If it is not positive, then till 65 we will do pap smear and then we'll stop the screening if it is negative. I have taken Cervarix, so I need to take Gardasil too, or no need? No, you if you've taken Cervarix, what you can do now? If you've taken Cervarix in the last 1 year, okay. So within the last 1 year, that is protective against those two, 16 and 18. They are very dangerous cancer-causing HPVs. Others are benign. If you've taken Cervarix, well and good, but after a few years, if you want, but then you will be sexually active. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you've taken one vaccine, that is what we are preventing. We are preventing cancer from the vaccine. So it's okay if you've taken Cervarix also. Initially, we were giving only Cervarix because Gardasil was not out. And now Gardasil has what they've done, they've just included the benign strains, 6 and 11. 6 and 11 are not cancer causing. 16 and 18 are which you have already taken. Okay, so the other benign causes, they can be treated. They can be treated any time. That's not a concern. So it's okay if you've taken Cervarix, it's well and it's good. You don't need to take Gardasil. Can PCOS, PCOD cause cancer? See, PCOS is, what is PCOS? PCOS is a stage of deranged hormones in a female's body. So hormones like estrogen, progesterone, any excess of anything is bad. See, if these hormones like estrogen is high up in the body, estrogen is high up for 10 years in the body, it will cause some changes. It will cause the ovaries to proliferate. It might lead to some, not just cancer, it will make the size first, it will go its course, it will increase the size first, and then it will multiply the cells, it will make them dysplastic, they make them abnormal. So but all this is preventable. PCOS patients, we put them on hormones, on very low dose hormones, they are fine, they conceive, they give birth to the babies. If they maintain again it comes to, if you maintain your weight, if you have a good lifestyle, good eating habits, you avoid junk food, you don't eat unhealthy food, you have lots of fruits in your diet, you exercise regularly, these things will lower your hormone levels. Even in a PCO patient, they sometimes don't even need medications to treat their PCO. But PCO is already a high hormone stage. Like it's a state of high hormones. We can control it by exercise, very simple to control. So PCOS and cancer, you don't relate to them. PCOS or no PCOS. If you are having high estrogen factors which cause high estrogen in your body, anything more, any hormone more in your body will proliferate whatever. See, estrogen has effect on the uterus, it has effect on the ovaries, even the fat cells of your body. If you are obese, your fat cells will also make estrogen externally, and then again it will cause problems in your periods, initially these problems will happen, period problem, and some weight gain and hair fall, these things will happen. Later, if there is a continuous stimulus on something, anything, any cell is stimulated for a very long time unprovoked, it will get some abnormal changes. So you can't relate just PCOS to this. Cancer and PCOS are not related, but yeah, unhealthy lifestyle again is one of the risk factors of any cancer, just not cervical breast carcinoma. Okay, and that too a modifiable factor. We can modify it. It's under our control. Okay, so yeah, I completed second dose last week. Not aware so much information in detail. Thank you so much for the session. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. How effective the vaccination is before any childbirth? Before any sexual activity, it is 90%, more than 90% effective. In all the viruses it is covering, it is effective in those. And those which it is not covering, for that you need to get yourself pap smear done every 3 years. But before childbirth, first of all, you can't get it during your pregnancy. Don't get it during your pregnancy. Even after you deliver your child, wait for a year, then get yourself checked for pap smear. You can get it done, or vaccination if you want to get it done, you can. But if efficacy of vaccination will decrease with the childbirth, with increased age of sexual activity. So it is best to give before sexual activity. It is not related with childbirth. Okay, you can take it after 1 year. You can wait, get yourself checked, pap smear karao. And if you want to take vaccination, you can take it later once your baby is stopped feeding. Then also you can get yourself vaccinated. That instead of vaccination, you can you should more concentrate on the pap smear. Okay. Dr. Kirti has asked, are Nabothian gland cysts a sign of cervical cancer? No, they are not sign of cervical cancer. They are sign of infection in the cervix. Okay, previous infection, some inflammation happened in the cervix in response to any infection. So Nabothian cysts have developed, and Nabothian glands have become enlarged. Okay, so again I would say, for a married patient with Nabothian cysts visible, okay, in the ultrasound or in the per speculum examination, get a pap smear done. Just get a pap smear done. It's all about whatever be the abnormality, we have got a pap smear done, it was negative. We have got a HPV DNA done, it was negative, so we are safe. Okay. Is pap smear HPV same? No, pap smear is a test. Pap smear is when you go to the OPD, patient is asked to lie down vaginally. They put a speculum, doctor puts a speculum, takes the cell from the cervical region and examines it under microscope. That is pap smear. Okay, and HPV is in the pap smear only. We have a provision to check for HPV DNA. If HPV DNA is present in those cells, that also is checked under microscope, under various electron microscope. Okay, that is also checked. But this is in the same sitting. HPV is human papilloma virus. We are checking the virus, and pap smear is we are checking the cells. If they are abnormal, we suspect could be because of virus, na? So we check the virus also. Okay. Ma'am, can both male and female partners take the vaccine? Yes, both female and male partners can take the vaccine before the starting of sexual activity, the best time. Later also they can take, but the efficacy little reduces the moment the age of sexual activity increases. It was very useful. Many thanks for an insight. Okay, thank you very much. Males also get HPV infection. Yes, males can get HPV, but it's a very silent one. Also in females it is silent initially, but in males also it is silent. They are just carriers. They transmit it to other partners, and it will if they have HPV 16 and 18, it can turn into penile carcinoma or anal carcinoma, cancer, sorry, anal cancer and penile cancers. Okay. Is regular use of vaginal wash like V-wash or betadine wash regular use Of vaginal wash, I would not advise. Personally, I do not give vaginal washes and betadine washes to women who present with vaginal infections, because what happens, any infection which happens in the vagina is because of the, it happens like in the gut. It happens just like that in the vagina. In the gut, we have bacteria to prevent any infection. In vagina also, we have bacteria which prevents any infection. So, if you keep washing the vaginal region with soap, or with anything chemical, so it will wash away all the good bacteria also. You have to maintain hygiene. I would tell you have to keep your hygiene definitely, but not use betadine wash and vaginal wash regularly. It is not advisable. You can use it occasionally, but not regularly. It will not cause any, it doesn't have much benefit. How long is the vaccine in the market? See, Cervix has been there since 2008-9. It has been there since then. Okay, but it came in Indian market very actively since I remember 2011. It came in the market. Cervix and Gardasil came in the market. Okay, and yes, and now Gardasil 9 has come last year only. And Gardasil 9 is the only vaccine which can be given to males. Okay. Cervix cannot be given to males. V-wash is safe. V-wash is safe. Don't use it regularly. It is not harmful. It is better than using any other soap. Okay, you can use a glycerine-based soap, rather the V-wash is nothing but soap. It is not harmful, or it is not much safe, or, it's if you don't use it, then also it won't have much effect. It's not going to cure your infections. It is just a soap, like any other soap. Okay. Masturbation causes, no, masturbation doesn't cause HPV infection, but you have to maintain hygiene, because there are many penile carcinomas related to collection of smegma, so that you have to be careful. Otherwise, masturbation doesn't cause. Is cervix and breast cancer fatal, or a patient can? Yeah, I've already answered this, but yeah, again, if breast cancer, cervical cancer, any cancer in higher stage is fatal. Survival rate is approximately 5 years in cervical cancer, and higher stages, and 10 years also in breast cancer. So, if we remove the affected parts of the body, yes, to much extent it can be cured, but in early stages, suppose this depends all on the stage. If it bloodstream, then the rate decreases, Even if it has gone into the bloodstream, the survival rate in cervical carcinoma is 5 years. How can oral contraceptives cause cervical cancer? Oral contraceptives do not cause cervical cancer. See, the benefits outweigh the harmful effects. Oral contraceptives, if taken for 7 to 8 years continuously, will cause a sustain. And what oral contraceptives you are taking also, that depends. See, if you are taking a very low dose, in the recent years, we have started these very low dose hormone pills, which do not have more than 25 estradiol or 30 estradiol. Estradiol is estrogen, which is a harmful hormone, which is a cancer causing hormone. So if in excess, normally we need estrogen. Every female has to have estrogen for many other reasons. So for oral contraceptives, if it is a low dose pill, it is not that harmful, or it is very low chances that if you take it for 10 years or 7 to 8 years, and you are taking a very high hormone pill, say, those Mala Ds, which used to come, which still come, and which is still available in rural areas, but for lagatar continuous for 10 years, 7, 8 years, then they will cause some changes in the cervical mucus. What they do now, the junction from where we take the pap smear, it is shifted outwards, towards the vagina, and it is more out, that junction, that weak junction where the cells interchange, that weak junction is pushed out due to OCPs who are taking for a long period of time. Again, I would say very long period of time, high dose hormone pills. So it will be shifted out, and it will be more available for the HPV to get infected. That is the whole funda. Again, if you get yourself tested, if you stop OCP, the junction will retract back. HPV might get, in 2 years, it might get cured also on its own because of your immune system. Or get yourself checked. Get your pap smear done every 3 years, and whatever you do, if you keep doing your pap smear, you will catch the HPV, and it is just very simple to treat it. Very simple to treat it in the early stages. Okay. How to keep your vagina clean? Can we use clean and dry liquid during periods? Can we use soaps? See, you can use glycerin based soaps, but not too much, because vaginal region cleans itself. They've got their own bacteria to clean itself up. So don't use too many soaps. Even if you use soap, you can use a liquid diluted soap, or glycerin based soap like Pears, or medicated glycerin based soaps. It's not necessary to use soap. Even warm water solves the purpose. Okay. What if one gets pregnant after 1 or 2 doses of vaccination, and the whole course has to be repeated? No, yeah. But there is no point. If you get pregnant, you have been vaccinated 2 doses, you've got that immunity in you of 2 doses. So what you can do, don't take the third dose during your pregnancy, not advised. Okay, leave it. After your pregnancy and after you have weaned away from, you've stopped feeding your baby, then you can take the vaccination, but starting from the first dose. Do we get full coverage through insurance for cervical and breast cancer? Somebody has asked this question, but I won't be able to answer this through insurance, whether your cervical, that you have to ask the people who provide you insurance. Okay, I have no idea about this. I never had intercourse without a condom. Should I still get pap smear test? And yes, I told that condom will prevent STDs. It will not prevent but HPV is a special STD. Human papilloma virus, which causes cervical cancer, is a special STD. Why? Because it also spreads via mucous membrane contact, via skin to skin contact, okay, by body fluid contact. So every part of the region is not covered with condom. Okay, so that can also infect you. So even if you've had safe intercourse with condoms, you have to get your pap smear, and there's no option for say anything. Even if you're vaccinated, I'm saying get pap smear. According to me, you should get pap smear done. If you are sexually active above 21, get pap smear done every 3 years. What are the risk factors in a woman who is not sexually active for years? Risk factors are again the same. Okay, not sexually active for years, but still get pap smear done, because once you're infected, it is usually after the first intercourse. If HPV has to infect, if it has to leave, it will leave when it wants to within a year or two, or if it wants to stay, even I cannot say which one wants to stay in whose body. So for that, you again get a pap smear done, routine pap smear, 3 years. Okay, even if you are once sexually active, then also you get a pap smear done. Oral contraceptive can cause cervical cancer. How exactly? Okay, oral contraceptive, when taken, high dose oral contraceptive, when taken for a long period of time, say 10 years, you are continuously on OCPs, it will cause some changes in your cervical, mucus lining, cervical, the cells of cervix. What happens? The cervix, there is a zone where the cells of uterus change into the cells of cervix. But that zone shifts outwards towards the vagina, more towards the vagina. That means it is available for HPV more. Otherwise, if you're not taking OCP, it shifts inside. But that doesn't mean that OCP, which is preventive for so many things, so many cancers, will cause cervical cancer. It will only cause and only cause cancer if it's taken in very high doses for continuously for 10 years. If you're taking OCP for a year, randomly 6 mahina liya, and then you've made a gap of 3 months again for 6 months, that is only protective for many other cancers rather than causing cervical cancer. So this thing should be very clear, that these days the OCPs are very low dose. They are not high dose hormones. Even if you take them for a higher number of years, if you exercise well, if you maintain your weight, do not gain weight, have a healthy diet, do not smoke, then this is OCP is not a factor which will cause cancer for a healthy lifestyle person. So the mother has not done mother feeding to baby due to lack of milk. There's a chance of developing breast cancer due to poor breastfeeding. No, no, no. No, no. That is like, see, if you've not fed your baby, then you must have, the milk must have not been there. You might be not having the appropriate requirement for the baby. Okay, that could be a reason. Or if you have voluntarily stopped giving feeds to the baby, even if you have expelled the milk and thrown it away for many other reasons, it's not a, it will not cause cancer. Okay, you, what I could understand with your question, due to lack of milk, that means that milk was not forming. Okay, so if you've not, if you're still lactating, if you're still feeding your baby, there are medicines to increase the milk production. Okay, and then you can feed your baby. If you do not want to continue, if you have already put your baby on formula feeds, then there's no harm if the milk is not coming. It's not much related to breast cancer. It is not much related to that. So don't worry about that. Whatever milk is forming, if you're not able to feed your baby, just expel it and throw it away or give the baby by spoon feeding. Okay. We choose to end the presentation at 5:20 for intermittent. Okay, we are running. Okay. So a lot of questions are waiting, but we already ran out of time, and I'm okay. One more question. Yeah, can you tell the routine for intermittent fasting? Yeah, the routine for intermittent fasting is, you can start with a 12-hour fasting. Suppose you've had food at 9 p.m. in the night, you can have food you can skip your breakfast. Start with skipping just one meal, morning meal, and during that time, you can, you can do exercise. Okay, you can do exercise, and water you have to have water. You can have tea and coffee, that too without sugar, without milk. You can have decaf. If you don't want to have coffee or tea, you can have a decaf tea and decaf coffee because if you're going to do it regularly. And in a week, if you do it 3 to 4 times a day, also 3 to 4 times a week, also there also it is beneficial. So that is the routine for your first week, starting from 12 hours, and then slowly, gradually make it to 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating. That way you can do intermittent fasting, and make sure to exercise during fasting at least 30 minutes. That will give you the best benefit of intermittent fasting. Okay. When is white discharge normal? White discharge is normal in the mid cycle. If you're having white discharge after intercourse, or you're having white discharge mid cycle, middle of your cycle, like say 13, 14 day, around 13, because it's a normal discharge of your cervix when you are ovulating. It's normal discharge. Okay. I am 36-year-old with 2 kids. Told me to have bulky uterus. The symptoms need to be aware. You have bulky uterus. Bulky uterus is it's just you've had 2 kids. Uterus size increases. We need to investigate just for cervical cancer point of view. I would say just Pap smear and HPV DNA. You get it done every 3 years. And for your bulky uterus, you have to get a few more. For this, I'll have to see the reports first. Or your gynec will have to examine you internally. If it is that big a concern, if it is just 6 to 8 week size, like a 6 to 8 week pregnant uterus, that size, then there is nothing to be concerned of, because you have already had 2 kids. So after kids, there's slight increase in the hypertrophy, slight increase in the size of the uterus, but it will return to normal. If it doesn't, you have to get 6 monthly ultrasound to check for any fibroids or any other problem. So that is a different thing. It is not related to your cervical cancer. For that, you have to get Pap smear done. Okay, once Paps and HPV is negative, just sit and relax for 3 years in your house. You don't need to do anything after that. Okay, so I'm 46. What are the tests I need? I think vaccination is out of option for me, right? Okay, if you're 46, you are done with, if you have stopped menses, you can go for Pap smear. Vaccination you want to take, it will give you 40% efficacy hoga, you can take it. It's nothing harmful in it. You can take it. And you can get your Pap smear done every 3 years along with HPV DNA. Okay. So mother has done mother feeding. Okay. So I hope I have been able to answer your queries and make you aware of the cervical cancer. Thank you very much. Thank you for the patience.